Hello everybody, it's Philip from MUX1410, and this is our week 4 project video where we're showing the refinements and additions that we've made to our project from the feedback from our instructor. Now, last week we talked about why our users wanted to use the application, so they're standard everyday banking customers that need access to pay their bills, some of them to be able to check their balances on the fly and send money quickly. So really, it's as long as you have an account, you can use this. There isn't much more to the target market than that. So as we can see here, we have the standard portrait view, but I was asked, do we have a landscape view as well? So yes, the answer to that is we now do. As we can see on the landscape view, as the user has rotated their phone, our vertical viewport is significantly less. So if we come down here and we look, we have much less of a space to work with. So we had to make our actual window viewports wider to accommodate that. So if the user is holding their phone in one hand, they can still navigate all the controls as necessary, but they still have access to all of the information without having to scroll on the main screen. One of the things that we wanted to address with the portrait layouts up here, for example, is that all the relevant and pertinent information should be top to bottom, left to right, so that as you move from the top left to the bottom right, you move from the most important to the least important. And so we did that quite well on the portrait view, but we wanted to address that even more on the landscape. And on landscape, nothing explains that better than these views right here. So let's take a look at the pin code page. On this one, everything is top left, bottom right. So if we're holding our phone using our left and right hands in landscape mode, we can still access all of these pin codes with our thumbs. Granted, 3, 9, and 4 will probably be a bit of a stretch, but still, the vast majority of buttons will still be accessible via the user's thumbs holding the phone in a landscape orientation. So that allows them to quickly enter their pin code to get back into the application and not spend so much time holding it in one hand and using fingers in the other. So we have our account thumbs at the top, where we can choose the type of KB to look at, and all of our picks along the left-hand side with the data over here on the right. This allows users to quickly access controls by simply tapping on them here, so they're not wasting time navigating screens or having to scroll through a huge list of options. So that makes it easier that way. Our interface screens as well are the same. As you see here, our deposit check screens have slightly changed, and our actionable items are along the left, and our reference items are along the right. So in this case, it still looks very similar to the portrait layout, but all of our actionable items are on the left. So same thing over here with our processing views. All of our actionable items are on the left, our status items are on the right. That's the field that we wanted to go with. So nothing really has changed other than that. We just made them into landscape layouts for you. Now, we did ask, is there a tablet version of this? If so, what would it look like? And I did do that. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. So the tablet version is very similar to the phone version in that we have a viewport for the login screen. The difference pretty much ends there. We tried to make it very similar, at least in some respects, to the child screens and modal pop-ups to the phone, so that you're not having to learn a new environment left and right. But because we have more space, we had to adapt our thinking about how the information was to be displayed. So this screen, the forgot password, the security screens is all the same. The pin code screen is still somewhat the same. It's just a larger interface to allow them to hold their tablet in one hand and tap with the buttons with another. Same thing in the horizontal layouts. You can see that we didn't have to adjust them to put the buttons left and right. We still have the same pin interface that we're used to. The user can still enter it. Same thing with the login as well. The difference here lies in what type of features we can add to the tablets. So as we can see here, for the ATM viewfinder, we now have a full panel map with a hover overlay to go back and search as well. This is more common on tablets than it is on phones, simply because it allows you not to have to worry about a blocked title up here. So the users can quickly tap up here, search for what they want, and view the panel full screen. Makes it easier for them to locate what they're looking for. Same thing applies for our main interface and our main menu. Unlike the phone where it allows us to see only one account, the tablet allows us to see all of our accounts at a glance with the detail on one account specifically. So as we can see here, we have a list of all of our accounts associated in the banking system with all of our actionable items down here on the bottom left. That is different than what we have inside of the phone, because on the phone you have to click menu in order to be able to see the actionable items. And the tablet, if you click menu, you only get these items right here, which weren't necessary to add to the left bar panel. So what we see is we have a list of our accounts right available to us, so the user, if they want to open their banking application and see how much money they have available in all their accounts, they can just open it, boom, it's right there for them. It's on the top left, so it's very easy to locate. It's also the most pertinent, important part of the application, because that's where users look to see where things need to be that are important to them. And then we have all of our scroll list information down here along the side, and all of our balances prominently displayed here. So that's the main screen, and that's why we did it this way. It looks the same. as you can see, in landscape mode. The great thing is, because I've designed it this way, we can use auto layout regardless of whether it's the Google Lollipop phones, tablets, or the Google standard tablets, whether it's the iPhone 6, iPhone 7, iPhone 8, or the iOS 7H for the tablets. We're using auto layout, so whenever we switch to landscape orientation, all it does is reduces our vertical view. Everything is still actionable in there for the user, and it's still using the F shape that we're familiar with, and so that's what we like to have there. So that really hasn't changed. Let's go up here and take a look at transactions. If you click on search right here, you get to search all the transactions for all of your accounts. It looks the same in landscape as well, so that made it easy. Granted, the meat and bones of the application is going to be in the actionable content. As we can see here, whenever we click on an individual item down here under account actions like schedule a transfer, we're allowed to view our window in a modal pop-up. Now, clicking on this gray area will not dismiss it. You have to click on close. I did it this way so that if we're processing or we're waiting for a status, we don't accidentally close the window and forget to look at our reference number for deposits or failed messages to give the bank. So they have to physically click on close up here at the top to be able to close that modal window. But I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem. So the user fills out the information they want by clicking on from, to, an amount. Everything pops up ready for them to fill in, and they can click on the actionable items that are down at the bottom, and it transfers. We can see a nice big icon showing negative transfer, positive transfer, whatever the case may be. So it's that simple and that easy to see. The layout doesn't change because it goes horizontal either. Just because it goes into landscape view doesn't mean the modal window is going to change. Chances are it will get thinner, which means that the vertical space will decrease, but in that case we'll just make the window a little bit wider to allow the user to scroll through naturally without cutting off their content. And there's only one modal window that will actually suffer from a landscape change as well. And we'll show you that over here. So this deposit a check window is probably the only one that's going to suffer from a landscape change because these image boxes right here are so long. But because they're image boxes, it's not really pertinent to see both of them at the same time on the same screen. So even if we do rotate to a landscape orientation and we only see the top part of this box right here, it doesn't matter. The user wants to see the check, they can scroll down and click on it. There's no textual elements underneath it, so the user doesn't have to waste time trying to scroll through to see pertinent text information. The only pertinent information here is we select an account, we select an amount, we scan our checks, which uses the same type of interface we use on the phone, and then we can either reset all the information or submit the information to the bank, which changes our pictures right here into nothing with just status icons right here showing what we've done. The horizontal layout doesn't affect that other than vertical size. We come over here, and this is sending money. Sending money is a little more complex because we have a few more actions, but we tried to make it as simple as possible because it's called quick pay. We want to make sure it's done right. So we just click pay from, pay the amount, pay to, and submit payment. All within the same modal window. You don't have to change windows. Many applications like to make the screen smaller by including just pay who as a single line item, like amount right here is a single line item. I decided not to do that. I wanted to give you a list to scroll through so that you could quickly find who you're looking for and click on them. And you could just look at that list to make sure that that's who you wanted to pay for sure. That's a little bit easier than having to pop up another pop-up on top of this pop-up, allowing you to select a user. I find that less appealing. So this list right here is a little easier for them to use. So 1, 2, choose, pay, get our status, and get our approval with our reference numbers as necessary and our negatives. So those are the actionable windows right there. If we click on the plus up there in the title bar to add a payee, it'll shift over. It's kind of like on a sliding view. You won't see it here because the fact that it slides is irrelevant. We just want to be able to shift the view on this pop-up. It doesn't actually close the send payment pop-up, but it does shift it over to add a payee. The user can click a contact right here, select one from their contact list, which will pop in all their information right here, or they can click on each individual field and fill it in, and then enter their reference number and click add payee. Once they add the payee, obviously, it'll be selected right here, and they can submit. Same thing applies if they double tap or long press on a payee, they can see all the transaction histories right here. Since you can't actually close it by clicking on the gray space, you have to click on close, so you can scroll as much as you like right here. Landscape changes aren't going to really affect this that much because that'll just allow the user to still continue to scroll on this list, and they can scroll on this list like they would any other screen inside of a smaller modal window on a tablet. So that, in a nutshell, is our tablet layouts. I really like it. I think the users will like the usability as well of this type of menu structure because they'll be able to see all of their accounts at a glance. They'll be able to see all of their actionable items at the bottom left. It's still within that important backbone that we have on the left, and all of the information is on the right. It makes it that much easier for them to see. So I hope you guys like it. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, have a great day.